blues fans, welcome. It's time for another episode of This Week in the Blues. It's our weekly take on blues history. I'm your host, Jimbo Big Train Madsen, with the blues band Big Train and the Locomotives. We're your favorite blues nerds. So let's take a look and see what happened this week in blues history. Chicago producer, songwriter, bass player, and singer Willie Dixon was born July 1st, 1915, in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Dixon eventually made his way to Chicago, where he won the Illinois State Golden Gloves Heavyweight Championship. Now, Dixon's real recognition was as a songwriter. He wrote Hoochie Coochie Man for Muddy Waters, Evil for Howlin' Wolf, and My Babe for Little Walter. This established Dixon as Chess Records' most reliable songwriter, and the Chess Brothers continually pushed Dixon's songs on their artists. Blues harp player James Cotton was born on July 1st in 1935 in Tunica, Mississippi. At his 1970s peak as a bandleader, James Cotton was a bouncing, sweating, whirling dervish of a bluesman, roaring his vocals and all but sucking the reeds right out of his defenseless little harmonicas. Now, when Little Walter left Muddy Waters Band in 1954, Cotton joined the band, and during the next dozen years, he filled an integral role beside Chicago's blues king with power and precision. Here's a little bit of Jimi Hendrix history for you. On July 2nd, 1962, Jimi Hendrix is honorably discharged from the Army after serving a little over a year of his 3-year commitment. The reason for his discharge is unsuitability, as his superiors agree he will never be a good soldier, in part because he's more interested in his guitar than his rifle. Who could blame him? Texas blues and soul singer Lavelle White was born July 3rd in 1929 in Amite City, Louisiana. Now, White's talents as a songwriter and singer were well known in 1950s Houston, where she recorded several singles for the Duke and Peacock labels. In the late 1950s, her label mates included Bobby Blue Bland, B.B. King, and Junior Parker. After performing most of her adult lifetime, White released 3 albums, the first of which was issued in 1994, when she was 65. On July 4th, 1943, Alan Blind Owl Wilson was born. He's best known as the co-founder, leader, co-lead singer, and primary composer of the blues band Canned Heat. Wilson was the lead singer for the group's 2 biggest U.S. hit singles, On the Road Again and Going Up the Country. Wilson was interested in the blues as a teenager and became an expert on early blues artists such as Charlie Patton, Robert Johnson, and Skip James. In 1964, he was brought in to reteach Son House how to play the songs that he had recorded previously in his 1930 and 1942 sessions. John Lee Hooker said of Wilson that he was the greatest harmonica player ever. New Orleans blues and boogie-woogie piano player Champion Jack Dupree was born on July 4th in 1910 in New Orleans. His nickname came from his early career as a boxer. Now, Dupree often injected his lyrics with a rowdy sense of down-home humor. But there was nothing lighthearted about his rock-solid way of boogie. When he shouted, "Shake, baby, shake," the entire room had no choice but to get up and dance. Dupree served in World War II. He was a cook in the United States Navy and was held by the Japanese for 2 years as a prisoner of war. Now, Bill Withers was born July 4th in 1938. He had just turned 33 when his song, Ain't No Sunshine, made him a sudden and unlikely success story, and within 1 year of an aircraft mechanic turned million-selling Grammy-winning artist. He wrote the song in 1971, and it has become a classic of the soul genre, with its haunting melody and heart-wrenching lyrics. Another one of Withers' signature songs is Lean on Me. which he wrote in 1972. Despite the many accolades, Withers remained a private person throughout his life. He retired from the music in the 1980s, and he spent the remainder of his life out of the public eye. Happy birthday to maybe the unluckiest musician in New Orleans. Of course, I'm talking about rhythm and blues singer and guitar player Smiley Lewis, who was born on July 5th in 1913. I say that he was unlucky because he was stuck in the shadow of Fats Domino and never got the national recognition he deserved. For example, he was the first to record Blue Monday in 1954, and then Fats Domino had a hit with the same song 2 years later. In 1955, he achieved his biggest sales with I Hear You Knockin', the first recording of the song, again to be outshined by Fats Domino. On July 5th, 1954, Elvis Presley recorded the Arthur Big Boy Crudup song, That's All Right Mama. The song was written by Crudup and originally recorded by him in Chicago on September 6th in 1946 as That's All Right. Some of the lyrics are traditional blues verses, first recorded by Blind Lemon Jefferson in 1926. Crudup's recording was released as a single in 1947, but it was less successful than some of his previous songs. The Elvis version, well, that one started his rise to fame. Blues slide guitar player Kenny Brown was born July 5th, 1953, on the Air Force Base in Selma, Alabama. He was raised in northern Mississippi's hill country, and as a child absorbed the region's rich musical heritage. Largely self-taught on guitar, he received encouragement and coaching from his neighbor, the bluesman Mississippi Joe Callicott. Now, Brown recorded with R.L. Burnside, Junior Kimbrough, C. Del Davis, Frank Frost, T. Model Ford, Mojo Buford, Jessie Mae Hemphill, the North Mississippi All-Stars, as well as Cyndi Lauper. Well, blues fans, we just covered some of the highlights here. Now, if you want to know more about these artists or other things that happened this week in the blues, be sure to follow our social media pages or just go out to our website at bigtrainblues.com. Now, we'll have a new episode next week, so we'll see you then.